Hello. Welcome back, everybody. Today's story time, we'll be talking about how me and my cousin got chased off by a crazy guy with a bat while ding dong ditching. So, how the day starts off, I wake up, I shower, and then my cousin texts me, hey, come over, and I'm gonna text my mom to see if you're allowed to come over and stay the night. And we'll call this cousin James. So my cousin James texts his mom, and I text my mom, and I'm like, "Is it okay if I get dropped off at James's house?" Now, the town James lives in is very preppy. It's a very, very preppy town. So the cops are assholes, and they're just not very lenient on anything. So they non-ditching in that town. The stakes were raised pretty high up. So me and my cousin decide, let's do this little family tradition in Ding Dong Ditch. That's what his mom called it, a family tradition. So I eventually get dropped off over there later in the day, and we sit around until nighttime playing video games and just messing around. And we were planning out the route that we were gonna take while ding dong ditching. So nighttime eventually rolls around. We do eat some food before we go out because we're not sure how long we'll be out for. And we decide the route, and then we get dressed in all black clothes. And we start going around ding dong ditching. The first house was pretty funny. We ran up, rung the doorbell, and we ran across the street and hid into this bush. And the dude just walked out and looked around. Funny as shit when you're a kid. You're like, oh my goodness, this dumbass had to get up and look outside. But the next house, my cousin was like, I know this dude, so walk up to the door and knock and just stand there, and then he'll open it up. And I did that. I walked up to the house, I knocked on the door, and then I stood there for a good 30 seconds, and then I see my cousin hauling ass down the road, and I'm like, this motherfucker does not know this guy. So I started running, and then he was like, why are you running? And we had to hide in the bridges that have the guardrails. We were hiding down there, and we just sat there for a good 10 minutes, and no one ever came out. So we're like, ah, dud house. And then he was like, hey, I used to live around here. Let's see who moved into my old house. So we run down the street until we find his old house, and there's for some reason seashells behind the barn in front of the house. So we start throwing seashells at the house. No one ever came out. So we were like, ah, another dud house. And then there was this house, but it was fenced off. Like the backyard of it was fenced off, but there was an alley that cut through the back. So you could see through the little holes in the fence, but you couldn't like see the backyard. But in front of it, it must have been a new fence that was put up because there was like dirt and mud, and it rained a couple nights before, so it was still a little muddy. We decided to ball up pieces of mud and throw it over the fence to hit the house, and every single mud ball that hit was like ding. And then this lady's looking out in her backyard. We see the door open. He's like, oh shit, the door's opening. So we're like peeking through the cracks in the fence. And he was like, what the hell is she holding? Is that a sign? And it turns out it was her husband. He was just a big, big, heavy set dude. And I was like, no, James, that's not a sign. That's a fat guy. And then he starts giggling. And the dude opens the door. He's like, get that shit out of here. And he starts screaming. So we decide to make a giant mud ball and hurl it over the fence. And it just smacks dead on the side of their siding. And there's just a big old mud glob coming down the side of the house. And then this is the part where the crazy guy comes in. We walking down the street, and this is the house his mom told us to stay away from. They're like, do not ding dong ditch this guy. I forget, oh, excuse me, who it was exactly, but it was someone they kind of knew from school. And my cousin walks up to the door. We're both standing there. He opens the little glass door, turns his back to the door, and donkey kicks this bitch hard as hell like twice. He goes, boom, boom. It sounded like someone was breaking in. And the first thing we hear after he lets that massive kick off to their door is just a baby start screaming and crying, wailing, just wah. Then we look at each other like, oh, we fucked up. So we ran off the porch across the street. I hid, like, we're really close to this dude's house, but I ran across the street and hid in like these two little bushes, and it's completely dark out, and my cousin slides in between the curb and a car parked on the side of the road, but we're parallel from this person's house. And the dude walks out with a baseball bat and is like, "Get the fuck out here, I know you're watching." And he starts walking up and down the sidewalks with this baseball bat, screaming his fucking head off because we woke up his baby in like the dead of night. So kind of reasonable for him to be mad, but we were fucking terrified because this is a giant dude, big 6 foot, probably fucking five guy walks out carrying a wooden baseball bat. And he's walking up and down the streets going like, "I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna smash your fucking skulls in." And I'm looking at my cousin and he is just not moving. And then the dude starts crossing the street to where we are, and my balls went up into my chest. It was probably the scariest fucking feeling you could have, laying face down in the dirt, hiding under a bush. And I was hiding in someone's like front lawn bushes where it's mulch, and then they're little bushes. So I'm hiding like in that. I'm like, oh shit. And the dude walks right by me. He's less than a foot away from me. He walks by me into the side of this person's house, just looking around. And then he steps off the curb right where my cousin is in between the car. And as he's doing that, the neighbor that is on the side of the street we're on starts shining a flashlight out the window as this dude's walking around. And he starts shining the light on my cousin. The moment the dude gets to the other side of the street and starts walking down the street to where a turn is, he turns off the street and we can hear him yelling kind of far away. So me and my cousin jump up and we run down the side of the house and then we hop like 3 fences. And we're sitting there catching our breaths like, holy shit, he was so close, he almost got us. And it was terrifying. But the dude, we can still hear him screaming. And we're trying to maneuver our way around these houses and not get caught by that guy, because, not gonna lie, he was like 8 houses down across another street from his house. So we had to try and get in the house without him seeing us, or else we would have probably been fucking cooked. And we're walking down the street trying to like maneuver back to his house, and then we see a car roll up and just stop right next to us, and we were about to take off, and it was his mom. She goes, "Get in the car right fucking now." So we have to get in the car, and my cousin's like, holy shit, I thought that was him in a car. And she turns around, she drives around the block for a little bit, so it made it seem like we were out of town or something. And she eventually brings us back to the house, and she's just scolding us this whole time, like, "You motherfuckers, I told you to stay away from his house. Never go by his house. Never ding dong ditch him. He just had a baby." And we're like, oh, yeah, we kind of figured that out. And the whole way home, we're getting scolded again. And she drags us back to the house. She's like, "I'm just glad y'all are safe." And never do that again. Never go by his house or ding dong ditch him, because that motherfucker crazy. And we were like, okay, we won't. And the whole night we're up talking about it. So don't ding dong ditch people's houses who your parents say, hey, stay away from them. I think that's the moral of this story. Don't do that. And we decide to start prank calling people. So we start prank calling restaurants, and little did we know we were doing it from the home phone, which displays your entire government name. This is just a little side story after that big one, but it displays your whole government name or whoever the home phone goes to. And they go, okay, is this order? And we were just saying, like, I want the cum pizza, and just dumb shit. So we call that pizza place, say a bunch of dumb shit, and they say his mom's entire government name. And then we're like, oh shit. So, if you're gonna make a phone call, probably do *67 because it brings up as no caller ID. But that was it for today's video. Today's story time. Moral of the story: don't ding dong ditch people who have a newborn baby or who your parents say to stay away from. If you're gonna do it, be smart. I personally feel like you can't even ding dong ditch nowadays without getting caught because everybody has a fucking Ring doorbell camera or cameras in general. But that's it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Subscribe, leave a like. See ya.